What if I told you that stupidity is more dangerous than evil? That the greatest disasters in history weren't the work of masterminds, but of ordinary people? People who refuse to think? Evil, at least, has intent. It plots, it strategizes, it has a goal. But stupidity? It's blind. It spreads like a virus, infecting minds, turning people into obedient drones, willing to follow orders without question. It doesn't destroy with force, it destroys with compliance. And the worst part? Stupid people don't even know they're stupid. They believe they're right. They fight for ideas they don't understand. They defend lies with blind passion. And they will take you down with them if you stand in their way. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a German theologian and resistance fighter against the Nazis, witnessed this firsthand. He saw how an entire nation, one of the most educated and advanced societies of its time, fell into darkness, not because of a few evil men, but because of millions of stupid ones. He came to a chilling conclusion. Stupidity is more dangerous than evil itself. Because you can reason with evil. You can negotiate with it. You can expose its lies. But stupidity? It's immune to logic. It doesn't think. It doesn't question. It just obeys. And that's why the world is in the state it's in today. We're going deep into the theory of stupidity. You'll see how it operates, how it spreads, and why power makes people more stupid, not smarter. We'll break down Bonhoeffer's insights, explore how stupidity enables tyranny, and most importantly, learn how to resist it. Because if you don't, you'll become part of the problem. Let's begin. People assume stupidity is about low IQ, that it's about someone being slow, uneducated, or just not getting it. But that's a mistake. True stupidity isn't about intelligence at all. It's a mental and social disease, a refusal to think, a deliberate rejection of reason. Dietrich Bonhoeffer saw this firsthand. He realized that intelligence wasn't the key factor in whether someone became a tool of tyranny. Smart people can be stupid. Educated people can be stupid. Entire societies can become stupid. And the worst part? Stupid people don't know they're stupid. They feel confident, even righteous. They believe they see the truth while dismissing facts that challenge them. They laugh at warnings. They follow orders blindly. Evil can be fought. It has a face. It has motives. It wants something. Stupidity? It doesn't want anything. It just follows. It just believes. It just spreads. When someone is evil, you can expose their lies. You can argue with them, outmaneuver them, defeat them. But when someone is stupid, they don't listen. They don't question. They don't reflect. They double down on their beliefs no matter how irrational. That's why dictators don't need smart, evil people to stay in power. They need loyal, stupid ones. A common mistake people make is confusing ignorance with stupidity. Ignorance is a lack of knowledge. It can be fixed. A person who is ignorant can learn. Stupidity is different. It's a rejection of learning. A person who is stupid chooses not to think critically. An ignorant person, when shown the truth, might change their mind. A stupid person? They get angry. They see new information as an attack. They hold on to their false beliefs even tighter. They'd rather live in comfortable lies than face uncomfortable truths. And that's what makes stupidity so dangerous. It spreads, it resists reason, and it turns ordinary people into weapons for those in power. Most people think of stupidity as a simple lack of intelligence. That's wrong. Stupidity is an active rejection of thought. A stupid person doesn't just fail to think critically, they refuse to. They hold on to their beliefs no matter how flawed. They reject new information even when it's undeniable. They mistake confidence for competence, emotion for truth, and authority for wisdom. And that makes stupidity not just a weakness, but a weapon. Stupidity operates in predictable patterns. Once you see them, you'll start recognizing them everywhere. Blind certainty. Stupid people believe they are right, even when proven wrong. They reject facts that contradict their beliefs. They mistake their own opinions for universal truth. Emotional thinking. Instead of using logic, they rely on feelings. If something makes them uncomfortable, they label it wrong. If it makes them feel good, they accept it as truth. Resistance to learning. Stupid people do not change their minds. Even when given clear evidence, they dismiss it, attack the messenger, or move the goalposts. Conformity over truth. They care more about fitting in than being right. They will accept lies if it means being part of the group. Obedience to authority. If a figure of authority says something, they believe it, no questions asked. They mistake power for knowledge. Dismissal of complexity. They prefer simple answers to complex problems, even when those answers are clearly false. They don't want to think, they want certainty. One of the most terrifying things about stupidity is that it's a self-sustaining. The less a person thinks, the less they want to think. They surround themselves with people who think like them. They reject ideas that challenge them. They repeat lies until they feel like truth. Over time, their world shrinks. They live inside an echo chamber, a place where only their beliefs exist and everything else is wrong or evil. And the worst part? The more stupid a person becomes, the more confident they get. That's why arguing with stupid people is so exhausting. You bring facts, they bring feelings, you use logic, they use slogans, you challenge them, they attack you. This is why stupidity is dangerous. It doesn't just spread, it fights back. Stupidity isn't just an individual problem. It's a social force, and the people in power know how to use it. Think about it. No dictator, corrupt leader, or authoritarian regime in history has ever wanted a population of critical thinkers. They want people who don't ask questions. They want people who accept orders without thinking. They want people who see obedience as virtue. Because stupid people don't rebel. They don't challenge authority. They don't resist. They comply. History proves it. Stupidity is the most effective tool for oppression. In Nazi Germany, ordinary citizens accepted horrific policies because they didn't think critically. In totalitarian regimes, propaganda thrives because people don't question it. In modern politics, leaders manipulate voters using emotion, not logic, because emotional people are easier to control. The more stupid a society becomes, the easier it is to govern. Here's the scary part. Stupidity is rewarded. Look around. Who gets the biggest platforms? Who gets the most attention? Who gets the most power? Not the smartest people, not the most thoughtful, but the ones who play the game, the ones who repeat the loudest, simplest, most emotionally charged messages. Society doesn't just tolerate stupidity, it incentivizes it. Politics favors slogans over solutions. Media prioritizes outrage over information. Social media rewards conformity over independent thought. Because stupidity is profitable. It's easier to sell products, push propaganda, and manipulate elections when people don't think too much. Stupidity doesn't just exist, it spreads. It creates a loop. Stupid people obey authority without question. Those in power encourage more stupidity because it benefits them. Stupid people feel validated, so they reject critical thought even more. The result? A society that values obedience over intelligence. A population that fights for its own oppression because it doesn't realize what's happening. And once that cycle is in place, it's almost impossible to break. At this point, you might be asking, if this is so obvious, why don't more people speak up? Simple. Smart people don't get rewarded. Smart people don't get power. Smart people don't get the microphone. And if they do speak up, they get silenced, ridiculed, or attacked. Because nothing threatens a stupid society more than someone who dares to think. Most people think power attracts the smartest, most capable individuals. But history proves otherwise. Power doesn't just corrupt, it makes people stupid. Once someone gains authority, something dangerous happens. They stop listening to criticism. They surround themselves with yes men. They become detached from reality. And over time, they lose the ability to think critically. They stop questioning themselves. They stop seeking truth. They believe their own lies. Bonhoeffer observed that the more power someone has, the less they engage in real thinking. Why? Because power creates an echo chamber of stupidity. Leaders surround themselves with people who agree with them. Dissent is punished, and blind loyalty is rewarded. Over time, leaders stop questioning their own decisions. They become disconnected from reality, making worse and worse choices. This is why dictators become delusional. Why CEOs destroy companies with terrible decisions. Why politicians make laws that don't make sense. Because no one around them dares to say, that's a stupid idea. In a rational world, leaders would want smart, critical thinkers around them. But in reality, they don't. Because smart people ask questions. They challenge authority. They point out flaws in the system. And that's dangerous to those who want power, not truth. So, what happens? Smart, independent voices get silenced. Loyal, obedient idiots get promoted. The leader's inner circle becomes an echo chamber of stupidity. And at that point, it doesn't matter how intelligent the leader once was. If they only listen to fools, they become a fool. This is what Bonhoeffer understood. The worst leaders aren't the evil geniuses. They're the stupid ones who think they're smart. Because evil has a goal. It's calculating. It strategizes. But stupidity is reckless. It's blind. It destroys everything in its path, including itself. And the worst part? Stupid leaders don't think they're stupid. They think they're brilliant. They think they're visionaries. They think they're saving the world, even as they drive it off a cliff. That's why stupidity in leadership is so dangerous. It has no brakes. When a leader becomes stupid, society should be able to correct them. But the system doesn't work that way, because stupidity, once it's in power, protects itself. The leader's mistakes get covered up. Critics get labeled as troublemakers. Followers become more loyal, not less, when their leader is exposed. And that's how civilizations collapse. Not because of one evil mastermind, but because a system of stupidity takes over. When people think of evil, they picture villains, scheming masterminds, tyrants, psychopaths. But that's not how most evil happens. Most evil is boring, ordinary, mindless. It's not driven by cruelty. It's driven by thoughtlessness. People following orders, not questioning anything, and doing their jobs without caring about the consequences. That's what Hannah Arendt discovered when she studied Adolf Eichmann, one of the architects of the Holocaust. He wasn't a monster foaming at the mouth. He wasn't a sadistic killer. He was a bureaucrat, a man who followed orders, a man who filled out paperwork, a man who never stopped to think. And that's what makes this kind of evil so terrifying. Arendt realized that the worst crimes in history didn't happen because of a handful of villains. They happened because millions of ordinary people stopped thinking. The guards who loaded people into trains, they were just following orders. The judges who enforced racist laws, they were just doing their job. The neighbors who reported their friends to the secret police, they didn't want trouble. None of them thought of themselves as evil, but they didn't think at all. And that's why Bonhoeffer was right. Stupidity is more dangerous than evil, because evil at least knows what it's doing. Stupidity, it destroys without even realizing it. The people who commit the worst atrocities aren't always full of hate. They're full of obedience. They do what they're told. They trust authority without question. They follow the rules even when the rules are insane. And that's how stupid societies create monsters in uniforms. People who don't see themselves as bad but participate in horrific things anyway. Because thinking is hard, questioning is risky, going along with the crowd is easy. And that's how evil spreads. Not through villains, but through ordinary, unthinking people who just go along with it. You might think, well, that was Nazi Germany. We're smarter now. Are we? Look around. How many people believe whatever the news tells them without checking? How many follow their political party blindly without asking questions? How many support terrible laws just because it's what everyone else is doing? Eichmann didn't think he was doing anything wrong. The people enforcing unjust laws today don't think they are either, because they're not thinking at all. And that's why Arendt's warning is so important. If you don't think for yourself, you can become an agent of evil without even realizing it. Ever notice how the smartest people aren't always the most successful? How truth doesn't always win? How the best ideas don't always rise to the top? That's not an accident. Bertrand Russell, one of the greatest philosophers of the 20th century, saw this happening decades ago, and it's only gotten worse. He warned that society doesn't just tolerate stupidity, it promotes it. It rewards it. It celebrates it. Because smart people ask questions. They challenge authority. They make things uncomfortable. And that's bad for business, bad for politics, bad for those in power. So what happens? Society punishes intelligence and rewards ignorance. Russell noticed something dangerous. People don't want truth. They want comfort. They want easy answers, not complex realities. They want slogans, not discussions. They want heroes and villains, not nuance. And that's why stupidity spreads faster than intelligence. A lie that's simple will always beat a truth that's complicated. The problem is them. This one law will fix everything. If we just do this, everything will be perfect. These ideas don't require thinking. They just require obedience. And that's why society favors smooth talkers over deep thinkers. Russell saw how politicians and media use stupidity to control people. Think about it. Who wins elections? The person with the most thoughtful policies, or the person with the best sound bites? Who gets the most views online? The person explaining both sides of an issue, or the one shouting into a camera? Who do people trust more? The expert who says it's complicated, or the one who says, I have all the answers? Society rewards confidence over competence. And because of that, the world isn't run by the smartest people, it's run by the loudest. Russell understood something most people don't. Thinking is painful. It forces you to confront uncertainty. It forces you to admit when you're wrong. It forces you to see that reality is messy. Most people don't want that. They want certainty, even if it's false. That's why people cling to bad ideas, even when those ideas hurt them. They vote for politicians who lie to them. They defend corrupt systems that exploit them. They attack the people who try to wake them up. Because it's easier to be comfortable in stupidity than to struggle with the truth. If you're smart in a stupid world, you're in danger. You'll be mocked for asking questions. You'll be hated for pointing out the truth. You'll be labeled as arrogant or elitist just for thinking critically. That's why so many intelligent people stay silent. They know that in a society where stupidity rules, being right doesn't matter. Being popular does, and that's why stupidity keeps winning. You don't have to be born stupid to become stupid. Stupidity spreads. It infects people. And once it takes hold, it's hard to escape. It doesn't spread through logic. It spreads through repetition, emotion, and groupthink. And in today's world, where we're constantly bombarded with information, stupidity spreads faster than ever. The three biggest carriers of stupidity: mass media simplifies complex issues, fuels outrage, and rewards sensationalism over truth. Social media creates echo chambers where people only see ideas they already agree with. Peer pressure. People believe what their group believes because questioning it means social rejection. How repetition creates truth. If you repeat a lie enough times, people start believing it. It doesn't matter if it's wrong. It doesn't matter if it's illogical. It doesn't matter if there's evidence against it. If they hear it enough, they'll think it's true. This is why propaganda works. This is why fake news spreads. This is why people cling to bad ideas even when they fail. Because stupidity isn't about facts, it's about feelings. Social media has turned stupidity into a wildfire. Algorithms reward outrage, not accuracy. People share what makes them feel good, not what makes sense. The more extreme an idea, the faster it spreads. And the scariest part? The more time people spend online, the dumber they become. Because social media isn't about thinking, it's about reacting. And when people stop thinking, they become easy to control. Most people don't believe things because they're true. They believe things because their friends, family, or political party believe them. Because if they question the group, they risk being outcast. This is why stupidity spreads in movements, cults, and politics. People don't ask, is this right? They ask, will my group still accept me? And so they go along with ideas they don't fully understand, because being accepted feels more important than being right. The more stupidity spreads, the harder it is to resist. If everyone around you believes a lie, it feels dangerous to challenge it. If your job depends on following orders, you don't ask questions. If the whole system is built on a false idea, you either accept it or get crushed by it. This is how entire nations have fallen into stupidity. How entire civilizations have collapsed. Because once stupidity reaches a tipping point, there's no going back. Authority doesn't need you to be smart. It doesn't want you to analyze, question, or challenge. It wants obedience. Because obedient people don't resist. They don't push back. They don't demand better. They just do what they're told. And the more obedient people become, the easier it is to control them. From childhood, we are conditioned to trust authority without question. In school, we're taught to memorize, not to think. At work, we're rewarded for following rules, not questioning them. In politics, we're told to trust the experts, not to analyze their motives. Disobedience is punished. Compliance is rewarded. And over time, people lose the ability to think for themselves. They mistake authority for truth. If a teacher says it, it must be true. If a politician says it, it must be true. If a media outlet says it, it must be true. But authority doesn't mean intelligence. It doesn't mean morality. It doesn't mean truth. It just means power. And power isn't always right. History proves that the worst atrocities weren't committed by evil masterminds. They were committed by ordinary people following orders. The soldiers who carried out genocide? Just doing my job. The bureaucrats who enforced horrific policies? Just following the law. The citizens who turned in their neighbors? Just obeying the rules. This is why totalitarian regimes love stupidity. Because obedient, thoughtless people make oppression possible. They don't need to be convinced. They don't need to be forced. They police themselves. They report others for wrongthink. They attack anyone who questions authority. They enforce their own oppression without even realizing it. And that's what makes stupidity more dangerous than malice, because evil has a plan, but stupidity just follows orders. You might think, this only happens in dictatorships. Think again. Even democratic societies push obedience over critical thought. Media outlets tell you what to believe. Politicians give you a script to follow. Social pressure forces you to align with the majority. If you step out of line, if you think for yourself, you're labeled as a troublemaker, a conspiracy theorist, a threat to society. And the more you challenge authority, the more you'll see. People don't want truth. They want certainty. They want security. They want someone to tell them what to do. And those in power, they are happy to oblige. The final stage of obedience is when people don't need to be controlled. They control each other. They silence themselves to avoid conflict. They report others to protect themselves. They accept absurd rules because that's just the way things are. At that point, the system doesn't even need force anymore. It just needs stupid, obedient people to keep the machine running. And that's how entire nations sleepwalk into tyranny without even realizing it. The biggest mistake people make is assuming stupidity is an individual problem. It's not. It's a group phenomenon. Most people don't think for themselves. They mirror the people around them. They adopt the beliefs of their tribe. Not because they're true, not because they make sense, but because they don't want to be an outsider. And that's why groupthink is more dangerous than ignorance. Because in a group, stupidity doesn't just survive, it thrives. People don't believe what's logical. They believe what's socially acceptable. Here's how it happens. The group decides what's true. Facts don't matter, only consensus does. Dissent is punished. If you challenge the group, you're attacked. The illusion of certainty grows. People stop questioning because everyone agrees. And just like that, the group controls the minds of its members. Ask yourself, have you ever stayed silent in a conversation because you didn't want to be attacked? Have you ever agreed with something just to avoid conflict? Have you ever ignored the truth because it was easier to fit in? That's groupthink in action. And the more people conform, the more stupidity spreads. Because in a group, people don't think. They follow. Breaking from the group is terrifying. It means being labeled a troublemaker. It means losing friends. It means questioning everything you thought was true. Most people aren't willing to do that. They would rather be wrong with the group than right and alone. And that's why groupthink is so dangerous. Because it makes people defend stupidity. Not because they believe it, but because they're afraid of what happens if they don't. In a group, people don't want to think, they want to belong. People don't seek truth, they seek approval. People don't analyze ideas, they adopt whatever the group tells them to. And over time, even the smartest people become blind followers. Not because they're stupid, but because they're scared. Once groupthink takes over, critical thinking dies. People repeat what they're told. They reject anything that challenges the group. They attack anyone who thinks differently, and soon, stupidity isn't just common, it's required. If you think for yourself, you're a threat. If you ask questions, you're the enemy. If you refuse to conform, you're punished. That's how societies fall into darkness. Not because of one bad leader, but because millions of people stop thinking. If stupidity is a virus, then critical thinking is the cure. But here's the hard truth. Breaking free from stupidity isn't easy. It means questioning what you've always believed. It means standing alone when the crowd turns against you. It means choosing truth over comfort, even when it hurts. Most people aren't willing to do that. But if you are, here's how you escape. Stop letting other people tell you what to think. Question everything, even your own beliefs. Seek multiple perspectives, not just the one that feels right. Ask why over and over until you reach the truth. If an idea can't survive questioning, it wasn't strong to begin with. Just because something is popular doesn't mean it's right. Authority isn't truth. Tradition isn't truth. Consensus isn't truth. Truth is truth, no matter how many people disagree with it. If you obey without thinking, you are part of the problem. Stupid people cling to their beliefs because they never stop to analyze them. So train yourself to pause. Before reacting emotionally, think. Before sharing something online, verify. Before accepting an idea, challenge it. The moment you stop questioning, you become easy to control. The world is full of lies. and the stupidest people are the ones who believe them blindly. Learn how to spot propaganda. Understand how media manipulates emotions. Be comfortable saying, "I don't know." The less you assume, the less likely you are to be fooled. Your mind is shaped by the people you spend time with. If you're surrounded by stupid, obedient people, you'll become one of them. If you're surrounded by smart, critical thinkers, you'll grow. Choose your circle wisely. The most dangerous people aren't the ones who know too little. They're the ones who think they know everything. Admit when you're wrong. Accept that you don't know it all. Be willing to change your mind when presented with better evidence, because certainty is the enemy of wisdom. The final test is this. Are you willing to be the only one who thinks differently? When your group embraces stupidity, will you resist? When authority demands blind obedience, will you refuse? When the world punishes critical thought, will you still think for yourself? If the answer is yes, then you've escaped the cycle. And that makes you dangerous. Because stupidity only survives when people stop thinking. The moment someone dares to question, the system starts to crack. So be that person. Not just for yourself, but for everyone still trapped in the lie. Stupidity is everywhere. It's in politics, in media, in schools, in social circles. But it only thrives when people comply. The world doesn't need more obedience. It needs more thinkers. It needs more skeptics. It needs people who refuse to be fooled. Because the future doesn't belong to the blind followers. It belongs to the ones brave enough to see. So choose. Think or obey. Question or conform. Be free or be controlled. The choice is yours.